behavior which includes learning, reasoning, and self-correction. It tries to bring the human cognitive capabilities or creativity in mission. If human can drive cars, the AI would aim the machines to be able to drive cars. If the human can ability to play chess, then AI would aim to derive machines to compete with human in playing chess. That AI, thus AI being a both mind and body of an artificial agent. Here comes the machine learning. It is a subset of AI which allows a machine to automatically learn from the past data without programming explicitly. It includes learning and self-correction when we introduce with new data. They also provide the statistical tools to explore, analyze the data. There are different types of machine learning algorithms which includes supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. It includes both feature selection and classification. Is a subfield of machine learning. These learning algorithms will create structures such as multi-neural network that can learn and make intelligent decisions on its own. The main difference between the machine learning and deep learning is that machine learning will use feature selection explicitly, and then it will perform the classification or clustering based upon the application. Whereas deep learning, in deep learning, feature selection will be automatically done implicitly by the algorithms. The word deep refers to the layered representation of the data. It can also be called as layered representation learning or hierarchical representation learning. And CNN comes under the umbrella of deep learning. Both the machine learning and deep learning are the same, but the accuracy varies. You have different numbers of applications, which includes object recognition, object detection, audio generation, language translation, machine translation, image captioning, video captioning, precision agriculture, and many more. So CNN, we are going to discuss with one-dimensional CNN. They work with the same with the one dimension, two dimension, or three dimension. So we are going to deal with the basics, that is one-dimensional CNN, where the input will be in one dimension. It extracts the features from the sequence of data and maps the internal features of the sequence. They are mainly developed for the image classification, in which the model accepts a two-dimensional input representing the image pixel and color channels. The convolution process plays a very important role, which reduces the number of parameters that need to be learned when we compare the data through a fully connected network as in machine learning techniques. The types of pattern found in the data can be found in multiple places. Finding the same pattern in a different set of data points is meaningful. CNN does the same. It reduces the number of parameters that need to be learned when compared to the fully connected network, as I told you before. It extracts the features from the sequence of data and maps the internal features of the sequence. The main difference between the different types of CNN is lies in the structure of the input data and how the filter moves across the data. It is very effective for deriving features from fixed length segment of the data set. You have n different layers of CNN. As I have told you, CNN performs feature extraction and as well as training implicitly. So we need to use different layers to perform the operations. We have input layer, convolution layer, pooling layer, flattened layer, fully connected layer, and the output layer. As we all know, the inputs must be arranged. It should be the errors must be removed. It should be patterned. It should be labeled, and it should be cleaned and given as an input to the input layer. So the input must be given to the input layer, followed by the convolutional layer, we have to perform the convolution operations on the input data. The convolution operation is nothing but mere multiplication and summation of the values. We will be using n number of filters. The filters will be decided based upon the inputs by the system itself. The convolution layer will perform the convolution operation and passing the result to the next layer. We know that convolution is the good way to identify the patterns in data, that is tying directly the space or the time. And the pooling layer, after applying the convolution operation, the data, the meaningful data must be extracted. This is done in the pooling layer. All the unwanted data is downsampled and the meaningful data which will be useful for the next level of reference will be taken in the pooling layer. Features are selected. It will be made into one single array in the flattening layer. It is mere flattening will be done, that is combining all the values into single dimension. After performing the flattening operation, the data will be sent to the training layers where the neurons are fully connected and the training will be done. Finally, the output will be obtained using from the output layer based upon the predictions available or based upon the optimizers we are using. So the CNN, normal convolutional neural network, includes different layers which include the input layer, convolutional layer, pooling layer, flattened layer, fully connected layer and the output layer. So the input layer gets the input, the inputs must be cleaned and it should be labeled and it should be in a proper format the system can understand, followed by the convolutional layer. The convolutional layer will apply number of filters depending upon the problem statement we have, and convolution operation will be done based upon the features or the filters or can be called as kernels, and the output is sent to the next layer called the pooling layer. Here the necessary features will be selected by downsampling the data and then it will be sent to the flattened layer where the data is made into single dimension, very useful for training process, and then the flattened values will be sent as an input to the fully connected layer where training will be done, and whatever operations we do it in backpropagation neural network will be done here. CNN is an advanced version of backpropagation neural network where feature selection is automatically done by the convolution layer and the pooling layer, and so backpropagation algorithms will be used and the training is done, and finally the output based depending upon our requirement the outputs will be chosen and the sent to the output layer. Okay. So it doesn't mean that the same series has to be followed. It means that convolution followed by pooling followed by flatten followed by fully connected and the output. It doesn't mean like that. Depending upon the input statement, that is the problem, depending upon their requirements, that is our outputs, we can have variations in the structure. The architecture may have 2 convolution layers, 2 pooling layers, 1 flattened layer, 3 fully connected layer and an output layer. So it can have any combinations depending upon the requirement. If it doesn't have any improvement in the quality or if the loss is not highly reduced, we can go for adding the number of neurons in the connected layer, fully connected layer, or we can have different layers. Fully training can be increased by adding one more fully connected layer. Okay, so it doesn't mean that all the CNN network architecture will be having the same number of layers, or only one layer is required. You can have more than one layer based upon the application type. This is an example convolution neural network where we have 2 convolution layers, 1 pooling layer, 1 fully connected layer and the output layer. So in this example we have the features, input features are 38 features and we are applying 64 filters, so that 64 layer, the layer filters or kernels are used, and 64 and the stack is like it has 64 layers of values, and again convolution operation is reapplied with a different type of filter, followed by the pooling layer, which is downsampled into 12 values, and then the all the values are made into single array, that is 128 values are available and it is made into single value. Finally the output is obtained. Only two outputs you have, either it is x0 or x1. This is a sample architecture, one dimensional architecture, which has two convolution layer, one pooling layer, a fully connected layer and an output layer. So the convolution involves sliding the kernel over the input. So this block is composed of number of filters, where each and every filter has a size. It can be, since we are using one dimensional values, the filter will be also in one dimension. So we will be applying the filters, we will be applying some mathematics. Here multiplication and summation is done and the output is obtained. So given a layer of input, given one dimensional array as an input, you will be getting one dimensional array as an output. So we are basically applying multiple filters all over the vector to extract different features. So multiple filters will extract multiple values, and these values will be will be holding the different feature values. So this is the operation is performed between the vector and the filter, producing an output, a new vector with as many channels as the number of filters. Then each value is fed through an activation function to introduce the non-linearity. This is a sample. This is a sample input. First of all, we have to know how the convolution operation is performed. Let me have a filter size 3:1 with values 1, 0, 1. The input is 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, and the filter value is 1, 0, 1. So convolution operation is nothing but mere multiplication of those values, one-to-one multiplication and summation of the values. So we will be getting 1 into 1 plus 0 into 0 plus 0 into 1, you will get a 1. And similarly, the filter will be strided to one position, and again the same operation will be performed. So multiplication will be one-to-one multiplication will be done, and the values will be summed up to get the final value. Similarly, the operation is performed till we reach the end of the input. So here we can see that the input size varies from the output size. So because the filter we cannot apply further as we don't have the values, input values. In order to get the input, in order to get the output same as the input, we can have one option, and that is nothing but padding the edges with zeros. It is also allowable so that zeros can be added and the filters can be applied to the end, and we can, so that we can have the same size as an output. So the parameters of convolution includes the filters, size, stride, activation, padding and bias. The filters are nothing but the number of convolution filters to include in the layer. The size mention the size of a single filter. So in this example, we will be discussing a filter of size 2:1. Stride is nothing but the number of cells to move while performing the convolution along the vector. By default, it is 1. You can have stride 2, 3 depending upon the inputs, depending upon your problem statement. The activation function is nothing but the function which will activate the neuron based upon the function. For example, Each and every neuron has to pass the information from it to the next layer. So only the data will be passed to the next layer if the activation function allows it to do. Activation function makes the neuron to trigger the value to the next layer. So by default, we will be using ReLU activation function. This is an activation function which is very simple activation function which allows the positive data to be moved to the next layer. All the negative values will be made 0. All the positive values will be made remains the same. So padding, as I have told you, if we want to apply the filter, automatically the values get reduced at the edges. In order to get the same values as the input, we can use padding with the value same. So automatically the input and the output will be of same length. If we don't want padding, simply use the keyword valid in the padding column. And bias adds a bias value. So this is what I have told you. So convolution operation is nothing but mere multiplication and the summation of the values. The filter will be placed one to one along with the input. Multiplication will be done. All the values will be summed up to get the output value. So an input vector when applied, when multiplied and summed up with the filter, we will be getting an output vector. This is the convolution operation. This is the basics in the convolution layer. And these are all the parameters of the convolution. We need to fix up the size, filters and the stride, the activation function we want to use, and padding and the bias value. So the activation function is nothing but the each and every neuron has a weight, and when we multiply the input number with the weight, it will gives the output of the neuron, which has to be transferred to the next layer. The activation function will decide whether the neuron should be activated or not. It is a transformation done over the input before sending it to the next layer or finalizing it as an output. So these are all some of the examples of the activation function. It can be either linear or non-linear. The frequently used activation functions are tanh, sigmoid, linear and ReLU. So ReLU is an activation function, rectified linear unit, which allows the positive values to move on to the next layer and negative values are removed. So next comes the pooling layer. As I have told you, the features are selected. We have to find out the necessary features, the required features which should be moved to the next layer. So for that, we will be performing the downsampling. So this downsampling will reduce the amount of computation that needs to be done. And secondly, it will send only the important data to the next layer in the CNN. It is always used to reduce the dimensionality of the given mapping while highlighting the prominent features. It is employed after the convolution layer to reduce the dimension of the convolution output. It always helps to reduce the overfitting. We have different types of pooling. The maximum used pooling or max pooling and average pooling. Max pooling selects the maximum value of the input values of in the region. Similarly, the average pooling selects the average value of the values in the region. So the output in the each step is therefore a single scalar, resulting in the significant size reduction of the output size. Here is an example where average pooling is done and max pooling is done in the second half. So we can see that the input value contains 4 values, the output contains only 2 values. It has been reduced by 2 if the filter size is 2. You can see that 4 and 6 is added, average is calculated and it is stored as, and the output is obtained as 5. Similarly, the input is 2 and 4, the average of 2 and 4 is 3 and the output is obtained as 5 and 3. Similarly, in the max pooling, the filter size is 2:1. So among two values, the maximum value is chosen and given as an output. Similarly, within 2 and 3 is maximum, it is chosen as an output. So this is how the pooling is done. The number and the values is reduced into half if we use 2 by 1 filter. The flattened layer concatenates the input from the previous layer to form a flat structure. It is very important so that we can use it in the fully connected networks. It is used to convert the data into single dimensional arrays to create a single feature vector. After flattening, we forward the data to the fully connected network for final classification. So this is a simple feed-forward neural network. So this architecture shows an example of fully connected layer where each and every neuron is connected to the values, input values, and they form the last few layers in the network. They are very, very essential to perform the training operation. The output from the final pooling or convolution layer, which is flattened, is then fed into the fully connected network. After passing through the fully connected network, the final layer uses a softmax activation function to find out the output. This activation function will produce you one predicted value, which is very nearer to the target value. This layer is used at the final stage of CNN to perform the classification. We have to know how many number of parameters has to be trained in each and every layer. This tabulation gives you an idea about it. So we have input layer, convolution layer, pooling layer, flattened layer, fully connected layer and the output layer. As we all know, the inputs are given in the input layer and no calculation is done. Mere input value, giving the input values is done in the input layer. So no trainable parameters are available in the input layer. In the convolution operation, we have feature values, and based upon the size of the filter and the current layers filter, number of the filters, we will be deciding the trainable parameters. So M is the feature value, S is the size of the filter, and K is the number of filters. So based upon this value, we will be finding out the number of parameters to be trained in the convolution layer. In the pooling layer, mere downsampling is done, so only calculation is performed and no learnable parameters are available. In the flattened layer, all the values are made into single dimension, so no learnable parameters or no training is to be needed there. So we no need to have any trainable parameters. In the fully connected network, we will be having connection between the previous layer network and the current layer network. So we will be finding out the connections. K represent the current layer neurons and D represent the previous layer neurons, and this term is for bias value. So we'll be having K neurons and each and every neuron will be given a bias value. So total number of parameters, trainable parameters, is K into D plus 1 into K. And similarly for the output, we will be having K into D into 1 into K, where K represents the outputs and D represent the previous layer neurons. And the loss function is very important because training is done based upon the backpropagation training algorithm. This represents, the loss function represents the deviation of the predicted output from the target output. So whenever we are applying an algorithm, we will be using a previous stored trained data set. So the data set will be having the inputs and the targeted outputs. So when we train an algorithm, the data will be given as an input, and the output, predicted output and the target output will be compared and the loss is calculated. If the loss is more, again we will back propagate and then we will adjust the weight so that the loss will be reduced. Again we will rerun in the second input. So similarly, we will try to back propagate, we will try to adjust the weights so that the loss will be very, very less. So in order to calculate the loss, we need the predicted output, we need the target output. So this function represents the deviation of the predicted output from the target output. Some of the simplest loss of functions include sum of squares, mean squared error, root mean square error, etc. And maximum, these mean squared error and the root mean squared error are mostly used for regression problems. For classification problems, categorical cross entropies or sparse categorical cross entropies will be used. So we have seen the structure of the convolutional neural network. So we will be giving one dimensional data as an input, followed by the convolutional operation. We can have any number of convolutional operations, and then we will be applying the pooling for downsampling the values. After applying pooling, if we need some more convolution, we can go for convolution or further pooling, and we will be going for the flattening process where the data is made into single dimension, and then we will be moving on for the training process by applying it to the fully connected network. Okay, so let us check the one sample application. So the application what I have chosen is to classify the grayscale image of flowers into 3 categories. So first of all, we will be using an iris dataset. This flower dataset or Fisher's iris dataset is a multivariate dataset introduced by the British statistician, hygienist or biologist Ronald Fisher. This dataset contains 4 features of the iris flowers. The features includes length and width of sepals and petals of the iris flowers. I have chosen 3 iris flowers. It has been given in the data set itself: Iris setosa, Iris virginica and Iris versicolor. So totally 50 samples of each variety of iris, each species of iris is chosen. So we will be having totally 3 varieties. So 50 into 3, totally 150 samples we are having, and each and every sample is going to have the sepal length and width of the sepal and as well as petal. So rows being the samples and columns being the sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width. So this data set is often used in data mining, classification and clustering examples and to test the algorithms. These are all the sample values which is available in the iris data set. We can see that the first column is the ID value. The second column gives you the sepal length in centimeters. Third one is sepal width in centimeters. Fourth column is petal length in centimeters and petal width in centimeters. And the fifth one is the label which indicates the type of the flower. Here all these sample values are the values of Iris setosa. So this image shows you the 3 different varieties of iris flowers: Iris versicolor, Iris setosa and Iris virginica. So what are all the steps involved in iris dataset classification? So we need to prepare the data, we need to define the model, define the architecture, and then we have to add the layers and we have to finally compile it and we have to fit the model. And we have to check for the accuracy. So we have to prepare the data, define the architecture, fit the architecture, train and test and find the accuracy, and we have to find out whether the model is 1D CNN correctly segregates the data set. So the line 1 to 6 imports the necessary modules, and we all know that TensorFlow is an open source library developed by Google primarily for deep learning application. So it has a comprehensive ecosystem of tools, libraries and resources. It also supports traditional machine learning algorithms. Keras is a neural network library that lies on the top of the TensorFlow, and it is more easier with high level API. Similarly, sklearn is a free software machine learning library. And Iris dataset is already cleaned and labeled. So we just need to put the data in a format. We will use it in the application. So the Keras provides two modes to create the model. One is the simple and easy to use sequential API, and the other one is the more flexible and advanced functional API. And most of the ANN has layers in sequential order, and the data will flow from one layer to another in a given order until the data finally reaches the output layer. So we will be importing the sequential model, and we have to add the layers. We will need the convolution layer, we need the pooling layer, we need the flattened layer and the fully connected layer. So all the layers we will be adding, and we have to train the inputs, and we have to test whether the training has been done well or not. For that, we will be choosing the train test split function. This is a function in sklearn model selection for splitting the data arrays into two subsets, for training data and for testing data. So with this function, the data set is divided. No, it is divided by itself, no need for manual dividing. This will make random partitions into two subsets. And sklearn comes with few small standard data sets that do not require to download from any file from some external website. So Iris is one such data set. So simply using a load Iris function, we can automatically load the Iris data set. It consists of 4 numerical features and try class target variable. So we have the output 3 class. It can be Iris setosa, Iris virginica, Iris verisca. So try class. We have outputs 0, 1 or 2 depending upon the type of the iris flower, and 4 inputs: the sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width as the inputs. NumPy is the Python library used for working with arrays. So first of all, we have to load the data set as I have told you before. So it is already cleaned and it is labeled. So it is simply we can use the load iris function to load the iris data, and then simply we can use it in our function. So we have to load the data set and we will check the input dimensions. So the data values, the 4 values will be stored in data, and target will be the labels which mention the output of the label of the flower. Just you will print the shape of the input. It is nothing but 150 samples. Each and every sample is going to have 4 columns. So next important step is to create a one-dimensional vector from each row of X input data. So for that, we will be using the reshape function. This function helps us to get a new shape to an array without changing its data. So this step will create a one-dimensional vector from each row of X input. So we are going to change it into one-dimensional value. And then we want to check whether the what are the labels uniquely available. So unique is a function which is used to find the unique elements of an array. So we have 0, 1 and 2. So 0 stands for setosa, 1 iris setosa, 1 stands for iris virginica and 2 stands for iris verisca. The xtrain, xtest stands for the input train input and test input, ytrain and ytest for the output of the test data, input and output of the test data. So the train test split function will automatically split the original data set into training set and the test set. So we have the test size. It can be an integer value, it can be a floating point value, or it can be none by default. So if it is an integer value, it represents the absolute number of test samples. So we have to specify the number of samples. That many samples will be taken as a training and testing data. And the value, if it is float, it should be between 0 and 1. It represents the proportion of the data set to be included in the test split. If it is 0.1 means 10% of data will be used in the test sets. If it is 0.5 means 15% of data will be used for testing, and the remaining 85% will be used for training the data set, training the algorithm. And if none is given, the value will be chosen as the complement of train size. If train size is also none, automatically 25% proportion will be taken for testing. So the IRIS dataset contains 150 samples. So 15% is equal to 22 samples will be used for testing, and the remaining 127 samples will be used for training. So 125 samples will be used for training and 22 samples will be used for testing. This is the architecture of the model. This is the architecture of the model. So here we can see that we have an input layer, we have a convolution layer of 64 filters, we have a pooling layer and a flattened layer and a fully connected layer and the output layer. Okay, so I'll repeat this architecture. It's a very simple architecture. Given the input in the input layers, so we have 4 inputs: the sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width is given as an input in the input layer. Of one particular species is given as an input. So it will be trained, features will be chosen and it will be trained, and the output will be obtained from the output layer. The output may be either Setosa, Versicolor or Virginica. So the output value will be 3, either Setosa 0, 1 or 2 based upon Setosa, Iris Virginica or Iris Versicolor. The inputs are nothing but 4 values: sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width. So the inputs is of size 4:1. Okay, and then we will be applying the convolutional filters. So the convolutional filters here we have chosen is 64. The number of filters, 64 filters we will be applying, and the filter size is 2:1. So we'll be applying filters 2:1. So the total number of values will be obtained is number of inputs minus the filter value by stride and the current layer filters. Okay, so number of inputs is 4, and the convolutional filter is size of the filter is convolutional filter is 2, and we have stride 1 and plus 1, we will be getting 3 values. So totally when we get 4 values in the input layer, we will be obtaining 3 values in the convolutional layer. And similarly, we have applied 64 filters, so 64 such values we will be obtaining. Okay. Next comes the pooling layer. So the filter size is 2:1. So among 2, we will be obtaining 1 values. By default, they have not considered the third value. So they have chosen 2 values and they have obtained 1 value. So for 64 such values, we will be having 64 values in the pooling layer. I will repeat. So we have applied 64 filters in the convolution layer. The 64 filters will obtain 3 into 64 samples. Similarly, the pooling layer filter is of size 2:1 and it is having max pooling. It is applying max pooling. So the maximum among the two values, among the first two samples is chosen. The third one is left as it is. So we have applied max pooling of filter size 2:1 and have obtained the value here. So for 64 such samples, we will be obtaining 64 values. So the flattened layer will make all the values 64 into 1 as 1 into 64. Okay. Followed by the fully connected layer where the values 64 values will be passed as an input and the training will be done here, and only 16 values, 16 neurons have been chosen in the fully connected layer and will be finding the output. So we have three outputs: iris, setosa, virginica or veriscler. So only three values from the output. The input is the sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width of each and every species. Convolution filter sizes 2:1. 64 such filters we have applied, and the pooling is max pooling of size, filter size is 2:1. So 64 such samples will be obtaining. Flattened layer makes it into single dimension. So we will be having a layer of 1:64. Fully connected 16 neurons is being used here, and after training we will be obtaining the output. Only three outputs we will have: setosa, virginica and veriscler. So can you able to follow the architecture? It is very simple. This is very basic, and one dimension CNN is basic for the other CNNs. Okay. So I'll explain the number of trainable parameters. It is very important to understand what are all the number of trainable parameters. For that, for the convolution layer, so we will be finding the feature values into size of the filter, into the number of filters into size of the filter plus 1. So by applying this formula, we will be obtaining 192 parameters, trainable parameters in the convolution layer. And in the pooling layer, no learning is done. Simple downsampling is done. So no calculations is done in the pooling layer. Similarly, in the flattened layer, we don't have any calculations. Simply we are making it into single dimension. So no training is done here. Whereas in fully connected network, the 64 outputs of the previous flattened layer is given as an input to the 16 neurons available in the fully connected network. So 60 into 64 plus bias values. For 16 neurons, we will be having bias values. So this is the formula: K into D plus 1 into K, where K is the current layer neuron and D is the previous layer neuron. So we have 64 such values in the previous layer and 16 neurons in this fully connected layer. So the 16 is chosen by default. Depending upon your application, you can have number of neurons in the fully connected. First of all, by training and by iterating many number of times, it has been found out that 16 neurons in the fully connected network is enough to perform the accuracy, to get the enough accuracy. So we have 16 neurons in the fully current layer and 64 values in the previous layer, and 1 plus 16 is nothing but the bias values which is used in the neurons in the fully connected network. Similarly, in the output layer, we have 3 outputs. So 16 inputs in the previous layer. So we have 16 into 3 connections plus 1 bias value in the output. So totally we have 51 values. 16 into 3 plus 1 into 3, that is totally we have 51. So in this architecture, the total number of trainable parameters is nothing but 192 plus 1040 plus 51. So totally we have 1283 trainable parameters. So defining and fitting the model. The code, this code creates a new model using sequential API. So the first layer in the model needs an input shape. Here we have to specify the input shape. So we need we have to perform convolutional one-dimensional convolution. 64 filters we need to have, and the filter size is 2:1. Activation function is the ReLU function. We know that the ReLU function will allow only the positive values, and the input shape we have to mention it is nothing but 4:1. So after adding a convolution layer, we had a pooling layer, max pooling we have used. By default, the filter size is 2:1, and simple flattened layer we need to have, and two fully connected network. One is for fully connected network, one is for the output layer. So we need 16 neurons with the activation function as ReLU, and in the output layer we have only 3 neurons as we have only 3 outputs, and the activation function is the softmax function. This function will give you the predicted values. The values what the which will give you the most exact predictions will be given as the value when we apply the softmax function. Basically this softmax function we will be applying in the output layer to get the outputs. So we have to compile the model using some loss function optimizers and metrics. So what we have chosen is sparse categorical cross entropy as the loss function, Adam optimizer, and accuracy is the metrics chosen to mention to evaluate the accuracy of the model. So the categorical cross entropy gives you the truth values as integer encoders, and for a 3-class problem it will be 0, 1 and 2. And the optimizer is the Adam optimizer. This is the mechanism through which the network will update itself based upon the data it sees and its loss function. Adam is an adaptive learning rate optimization algorithm that has been designed specifically for training deep neural networks. Okay, the softmax layer will automatically return an array of 3 probability scores. Each represents the probability of current image belongs to a particular class. So we know what is ReLU, softmax, tags, categorical cross entropy, Adam, and the accuracy. What we have chosen is which we will be is nothing but the ratio of correct predictions to the total prediction made. And we have to print the summary of the model. So to print we have to use the summary function which automatically prints the summary of the model. Here we can see that the model is sequential, and the number of layers, the name and the type of all the layers will be given which will be printed, followed by the output shape for each layer and the number of weights parameters of the each layer. If the model has a general topology, the input layer, the total number of trainable and non-trainable parameters will also be mentioned here. So convolution layer we have, followed by the max pooling layer, a flattened layer, a dense layer, the fully connected layer, and the output layer. So these are all the values we have used. So 64 values, 64 filters we have used, and each and every value. Please remember this particular architecture. So we have 3 inputs and 64 such values we will be getting. So 3 into 64 values we will be getting. So pooling layer, so we have applied max pooling of filter size 2:1. So totally we will be getting For 3 values, we will be getting only 1 value. So 64 such the filter, the array size is 3:64. So we will be obtaining 1 into 64 values. So this is known as a sum here. Max pooling. So we don't have trainable parameters. Here we will be having 192, here 1040 and 51. So the total parameters is 1 to 1283. Under 1 to 83, all are trainable parameters. So this is the output of the network. Okay, and then finally we have to train the model using the fit function. So we will fit the model with the trained data and we will check with the training accuracy. So the main purpose of this fit function is to evaluate the model on training. Okay, so this fit function will get the inputs X train, Y train with the batch size. Number of the training instances is 16 and number of epochs is 100. Number of times the model is needed to be evaluated during training. And the verbose is nothing but how it will print. If it is equal to 0, it will not show anything. If it is equal to 1, an animated progress bar will be shown. If it is equal to 2, it will mention the epoch number as an output. Okay, so here the X train, Y train is nothing but the tuple which is used to be evaluate the data. Okay, so the accuracy function we have used. So model is evaluated, accuracy is obtained, the loss and the accuracy is printed. So the loss is lesser, accuracy is higher. So if we go on for training more number of epochs, we can see the variation. At one particular time, the accuracy will remain saturated. In that particular instance, we can stop and we can announce the training has been done with this number of epoch and this much accuracy you have obtained. So we have to finally find the prediction. So by using the predict function, we will predict the prediction accuracy and we will find the confusion matrix. So confusion matrix is nothing but the technique which is used for summarizing the performance of the classification algorithm. It shows the ways in which the classification algorithm is confused, how much it gets confused when we make its prediction. So given an array of expected values and the list of predictions from the model, the confusion matrix function will calculate the confusion matrix and return the result. We can see that it has identified 8 values, 8 Iris setosa as Iris setosa. None of this have been identified as Veriscola or Virginica. Similarly, when we have Veriscola values, 8 samples have been identified as Virginica and none of them are wrongly identified as setosa or Veriscola. Similarly, for Veriscola. So the confusion matrix will give you an idea how the model is confused when we make predictions. So it has correctly identified the species. It doesn't mispredict the values as Virginica or the other. So these are all some of the references I have used for making this presentation, and so this is how I end up with my presentation. And to summarize the presentation, first of all, I want to tell you that 1D CNN is nothing but one-dimensional CNN, where the given input is of one dimension. It can be an image, but the one-dimensional value of an image has to be given as an input. So if you want to use an image as an input, you have to go for two-dimensional. Here I have chosen an image, and from the image I have used only the one dimensional value. The four inputs what I have chosen is the setosa and petal width of um, sepal and sepal length, sepal width, petal length and petal width, and I have tried to identify the different species of Iris setosa, virginica and versicolor. And we have applied the convolution operation and the architecture which is being used to find the correct type is nothing but where we have a convolutional layer of 64 filters, a cooling layer and a flattened layer and a fully connected layer with 16 neurons and 3 output layers. So total trainable parameters is 1283 and the conversion filter is of size 2:1 and we have applied max cooling of size 2:1. We have used ReLU function in the two layers, that is convolution layer and the fully connected layer, and softmax function, activation function in the output layer where it will predict you the values of the species. So if you have any doubts, please clarify it.
Madam,
Awesome.
in the model.fit function, at last verbose is 0. What does it indicate?
Where?
Model.fit function. Yeah.
Yeah,
Verbose
yeah.
epochs
Yeah,
is
yeah.
100. Verbose 0.
Yeah, verbose is equal to 0 just for printing purpose they are using. So if it is equal to 0, nothing will be printed. If the value is equal to 1, animated bar will be, progress bar will be shown. Similarly like this.
For printing purpose only, ma'am.
Yeah. Once again. So animated bar will be like this. For printing. If the verbose is equal to 2, you will be mentioning the epoch numbers. The 2 represents the current epoch and 20 represents the number of epochs. In case here it is 100 epochs.